Shadow work is arguably one of the most, if not the most, effective, influential methods of personal growth and spiritual evolution. The goal is not to separate from the shadow, disown it, or reject it. The goal is to see it, to give it proper acknowledgement, and especially that of which has been neglected, and to liberate our wounded parts from running the show. Shadow work is an amazing and effective way to do just that and more. But before we get into it, I do want to just have a quick little disclaimer here. I am not a licensed mental health professional. And if you want to dig into certain aspects of yourself and trauma and things like that, I highly recommend starting off with a trained professional in that. Okay, so some of these methods I'll be talking about, it is solely based on my own personal experience. I cannot professionally advise you in that way. So please use your discernment and feel into yourself with what you need for your journey. So without further ado, my very own definition of shadow work is the following. Shadow work is the process of acknowledging the unacknowledged, bringing awareness to the unconscious aspects of ourselves, especially those that make us uncomfortable, with the goal of integrating those parts via true understanding and compassion. And so what this kind of looks like is, first we have to understand it. We have to analyze and try to be an observer towards the things that either make us uncomfortable or hurt us from the past. Like, it just reminds us of not a great time and we have bad associations with it, whether it's an event, a person, a song. I have a whole separate video about music shadow work, actually. And especially in my high school years, oh my goodness, I had playlists upon playlists that for a time when I looked back on and I listened to them, it brought back all these feelings and I got all these images and these memories of this era of my life where a lot of not so great things happened. A lot of beautiful things happened, but also a lot of not great, not beautiful things. So please go ahead and watch that video. I'll go ahead and link it down below in the description, because that's actually a very effective way to listen to the songs over and over again, so that the panic response or the thrill response, whatever strong emotion comes up in association with those songs, will dissipate. Literally, I did it. And I wouldn't be talking about it if it did not work, and I couldn't be like a testimony to that. So check that out. But anyway, we want to understand what, like, are you trying to satisfy or fill with a specific pattern or belief? Seeing it for what it is, continually asking yourself, why? Why is this thing? Like, first you want to name it, and then what's really helpful for me is to put it on paper so that you can kind of see it and sort of break it down literally line by line, and start out by just writing it down. Even just writing it down might have some feelings come up, and then write that down. Say and think to yourself, okay, me just even writing it down, which is a form of very physical, tangible acknowledgement, how does that make me feel? What came up for me? What associations? Like I said, maybe there's a specific memory or a person or an energy, an emotion with that. And so here's where, once you kind of dip your toe in the water, you can explore deeper themes and meanings. So you can sort of kind of, like I said, follow that line of why. Like, okay, this thing makes me uncomfortable and makes me feel, shame or guilt. Okay, well, why? Well, because it makes me think that I didn't fight for myself hard enough when I this bad thing happened to me, or this person did this thing to me. And it's like, okay, well, why do I think that? Well, because maybe that's a projection from society. Maybe that's a replay in your head of something that a loved one or a partner or a parent told you growing up. Like, you can find like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's kind of like this, this sort of, the image I'm getting in my head, if you guys have seen Frozen 2, the movie, where Elsa goes into that ice cave and all of the snow figures with magic are kind of coming alive, and she's following this figure into like the depths of this cave, and she's hearing their conversation. That's kind of what I'm imagining here. You are following the narrative that you have assigned to whatever this thing is. And so once you kind of dig into that and be like, oh my gosh, you might find a very surprising route. You might find that, oh, well, actually, this goes back to how I can't accept myself in XYZ ways, or whatever this person did to me or said to me, that's the root of this, that's made it kind of manifest in different ways. Like, for example, a common thing tends to be the way that our parents raise us and treat us. Sometimes romantic partners that we're attracted to toxically, like toxic traits, we sort of gravitate towards in people romantically. And so if you can take a situation like that and be like, oh my gosh, this directly relates to something specific, this almost mantra or this curse that was said to me or done to me from my parents has continued on in this way and has kind of blown itself up into this other, I guess, entity of its own, this energy that's put this umbrella upon you of, oh, I'm not good enough, or, oh, I can't protect myself, or I can't stand up for myself. That's just one example, okay? So I really hope this makes sense, because from there, you can accept and claim the truth. So that specific example I was kind of diving into here, just like spitballing here for this, it's like, okay, you can realize within yourself, like, no, I am a competent, kind, compassionate person. I don't deserve to be treated this way. I was communicating. I did do my best. Whatever that situation was for you, really seeing it from this other perspective, especially a higher outside perspective, being like, oh my gosh, this is how I felt. This is what I did in this situation. And then objectively speaking, this is what the other person did. Taking away the he said, she said, he did, she did, trying to look at it from that third party kind of viewpoint and being like, oh wow, so that's really what happened outside of the narratives, outside of the trauma, outside of these societal projections of like, oh, that's bad, that's wrong, you're stupid, and you're weak, like, you know? So you can really see it for what it is without all of that fluff, which turns into way more than fluff down the line if it's not addressed and isn't seen for what it is. And so from that point, steps 4 and 5 are kind of together for me, and that is surrendering to emotional flows and integrating. The surrender to the flows is what the integration is. And so being able to recognize that, yeah, change can be daunting. What can follow, we tend to be afraid of what can follow or fall apart upon learning this truth, right? Because, yeah, you understand this, you go down these steps, you follow these steps, and you journal, and you process, and you cry, or you scream, or you rage in a rage room, or you punch a pillow, or whatever you want to do, or are called to do, however that expresses itself, right? Or you make art, that's sublimation in psychology, you know, and at the very end of it all, you're kind of like, okay, well, now what? What was the point? The point is so that you have a different experience, so that you can take charge back into your life and take your power back through understanding, through compassion, and being able to recognize, like, yeah, it is scary, and yeah, I feel gross or guilty, or as those densities are on their way out through this awareness, they will come up because they are leaving. Does that make sense? And so some of the themes And some of the emotional charge of those themes that you broke down in your session might come up over the next couple of days or weeks, like throughout your day as you're just kind of going about your routine, because they are leaving, because they are on their way out. And afterwards, you're going to feel so much lighter. You are going to feel liberated. You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, this story no longer controls me. This story is no longer this overarching weird sort of narrative that's casting a shadow, putting a rain cloud over the rest of my life and my the life categories and just how you live and how you show up. And there's going to be ups and downs, that's going to be like, oh yes, I'm so proud of myself for digging into this. But then there will probably be those, like that fear and that shame and that guilt, and be like, oh my gosh, well, what does this mean? And this is kind of weird. And you're going to experience everything in between those two extremes as well. And that's a part of the process. Know that you're not doing anything wrong. That's actually everything coming out, instead of just being a rock in your field and being a rock at the bottom of your heart or your soul, or however you want to picture it and describe it. And it doesn't serve you. It drags you down, and it causes the same stories to loop over and over and over again. That's not fun. You're not empowered, and there is no sense of like having the reins, in a sense. It's almost like this autopilot takes over until you dig up and like these things, So yes, basically that is the breakdown of kind of what I've learned is the structure of shadow work. And so I want to get into some modalities here. And at the very end, we're going to talk about making time for this, okay? It's going to be in order of least amount of time to the middle ground to the most amount of time / advanced. So before we get into that, this next section is like the specific things that you can do, the modalities, the techniques. And so when it comes to journaling, there are two types, I would say. There's journaling in general, so day frustrations, and then there is targeted journaling. So that's kind of what I was talking about in the previous section just now, of breaking down a specific event from the past, some part of you that makes you uncomfortable or feel gross, etc. And so what's cool is that, sometimes, let me know down in the comments how you felt about this shadow work structure that I just finished talking about. Is it perhaps a little overwhelming to think about? Is it like, oh wait, this sounds really cool, but ooh, that's kind of a lot to start off with. I'm brand new to this, right? So the journaling in general, the day-to-day frustrations modality is an amazing place to start, because basically, and I'm going to actually get into it more in the next section, but it's like taking it one day at a time, in the sense of you just maybe got home from work and you have a dedicated notebook specifically for you to make a nighttime ritual out of just like word vomiting onto the page of, oh my gosh, so-and-so at work is so annoying, because that's you processing, that's you acknowledging like, hey, yeah, this did not make me feel good. Or maybe you made a mistake at work, or there was a client that was really mean, or something happened that just wasn't very nice or enjoyable. And so simply taking that time to write down things like that, that's huge, because you would have maybe before diving into this work or before developing this routine or this ritual, would have just, gone home, maybe watch TV and go to bed. It's like, well, that might be something that could, like, it's a mountain that is, sorry, oh my gosh, I'm trying to, this picture, I'm trying to explain it. A molehill that turns into a mountain unnecessarily. You deserve to have a voice. You deserve to say, hey, yeah, this really did bother me. And it's important to express ourselves in that way, even if it's just with ourselves in a notebook, in private. That's really big. And so the targeted journaling is what I described before. And so that would be like dedicated time that you would think about, like sit down in a private space, undisturbed, preferably, and really kind of thinking about, that one thing, whatever that is for you. Maybe it was a specific memory from your childhood, or some past partner or lover that you felt very unsafe with, or there was a specific event from that relationship that's really stuck with you. The targeted journaling session is for that, to write it down and follow that process that I described before. And so another modality is somatics, anything having to do with movement. And honestly, I do pair breath work in this category as well, because there is a thing called somatic breath work where you press on different parts of your body, especially in the kind of like intestinal stomach area. There are a ton of really good YouTube videos about that, and also courses online that you can find and take to learn about that. And it involves like the body. And so another thing is, of course, dance, trauma-informed yoga, stretching, anything that's trauma-informed and includes some type of movement or stretching or body connection is so good. Because the thing about it is, and actually my next point is talk therapy. It's important to have both. Start with one, but as you dig deeper and as you release more and more, it's important to have a very well-developed, multifaceted, I guess, treatment plan, if that's the right term to use. Because talking, because here, let me just say what I wrote in my notes. The importance of having both is so that we don't bypass with words, but we don't neglect that thinking out process. So marrying the mind, body, and spirit all together. Because I bring that up because in my past, I went to therapy for 8 years straight. And towards the end of my journey with that, I would say the last maybe 3 years or so, I was kind of reaching a plateau, and I was like talking things out, but it felt like there was something I wasn't able to access for some reason. It felt like, well, I don't feel as good as this used to make me feel. And then I really thought long and hard about it, and then I started learning about somatics, especially the book, The Body Keeps the Score, that talks about it, where it's like words can only access so much. Trauma and emotions and events get stuck in our bodies and can manifest as physical ailments because it is simply trying to get our attention. But we can only really get those things out via movement. It came into the body and is stuck in the body, so it has to be worked out in the body as well, if that makes sense. Like, it reminds me of this phrase that one of my friends says a lot, and it's, if you get hurt in community, you have to heal in community. I can very much apply that concept to this with the body. If the body was affected, which you're living in your body, so yes, it was affected, even if it was just with words, even if it wasn't a physical trauma, or SUL, it can be like the body remembers, the organ remembers. In ancient Chinese medicine, specific emotions tend to gravitate towards specific organs. And so this is like a big, holistic view, marrying the more medicinal kind of modern day medicine, aka therapy and medicines and things, with alternative holistic ancient medicine, which is the body wisdom and the breath work and the acupuncture and the ancient Chinese medicine and energy work, things like that. So my last point here in the modalities is that music shadow work video. Again, that is in the description. It's a really good one. I highly recommend it. Music is a big part of my life. There are vibrations in music, not only with the lyrics, but also the instrumentation. A lot of times in my past, I mean, it wasn't just the words, sometimes with the associations and these memories that would get attached to these songs that I was listening to at the time of that event occurring was just because of how the instrumentation made me feel. It comes with its own mood and its own aesthetic of sorts, and then it sort of attaches to this story, and then it's like this image and this narrative in our mind. Like, it's a whole thing. Does that make sense? So it's a really good modality. It gets you into neutrality to move on fully when you can expose, and this is actually a form of therapy, the exposure, and to desensitize the response because of the exposure of it over a period of time. So, which again, if you are in any way feeling like this is too much or it feels unsafe, please, 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 please reach out and work with a professional. I'm sure they would be more than happy to, because well-renowned therapists talk about shadow work. I mean, there's a book that I have it's called, here, let me get it. Existential Kink by Carolyn Elliott. She has a PhD in psych. So I'm sure that whoever you find, or maybe you already have a therapist, they'd be more than happy to dig into things with you in this way. Or maybe even whatever modalities they know and they are certified in can help support this process for you as well. So we're going to move on to the making time for shadow work section. This is the final section of this video, and the methods that take the least amount of time, I would say, are journaling. The day-to-day journaling I was mentioning, right? You can do this before everyone else wakes up in the house in the morning, to let it go. So like, people have talked about this of like the brain dump, right? So writing down your anxieties right as you wake up, and then kind of put it away, go about the rest of your day. Or journaling at the end of the day when the kids are asleep, if you're a parent, and you can be in your room or in the living room, where you can be alone and journal about, like I said, that mean coworker with raw honesty. Having a dedicated journal for this specifically, and knowing that you don't have to keep these. You can burn them when they're filled, or if it makes you feel better. You can also communicate to your partner as well, if you do have a partner, being like, hey, this is for my mental health. This is a private thing that I have and will eventually be destroyed. If they love and support you, they will support this for you, I would say. And so that's like the least amount of time commitment. And then the middle ground, I would say, is a therapy session or a music shadow work session on a long drive, and longer journaling sessions where you take the time undistracted to break down a specific thing. So what I was saying earlier about the day-to-day versus the targeted, this middle ground I would say would be the targeted, because you do kind of want an extended period of free time, undisturbed, where you can be in private for at least an hour, or take it even longer if you are called to. And the music shadow work session via long drive, this allows you to maybe put together a playlist, or like what I used to do, going into those old playlists from high school that were already made and that were kind of like hidden in folders and put away because it wasn't relevant anymore. It's not me anymore. But like, I was still having a response to these songs. So I would literally go on long drives, or I would save this work for long drives and listen to these songs in this playlist like over and over and over again. And then eventually, I'm telling you, I did not get a response anymore. And it was great. So finally, the most amount of time and the most advanced, I would say, would be to have a dedicated sacred ceremony. In this sacred ceremony, I suggest that you set the space. I actually have a video on this channel about how to set a sacred space of protection for spiritual work, for energy work. And so I will also link that below in the description. And you can marry a bunch of different modalities in this session. This is your time. This is your space. You are fully protected in this space. So maybe you'll start with a little bit of journaling, and then maybe you'll do a trauma-informed yoga video you found, or you'll do some stretching in some candlelight, and you'll think about that thing that's been bothering you, and you'll cry. Like, you can make it a whole kind of ritual for yourself in this space. And then, of course, at the very end, clean up, take down the space, and kind of gently transition into whatever is next for you in your day. Maybe it's going to bed, or maybe it's going to make yourself some lunch, or taking a shower or something. I actually recommend that. Take a shower before, to like cleanse yourself of like energies from your day beforehand, or shower afterwards, so that you can kind of get those residuals off from the work that you just did. So I actually do have a whole, wow, I'm referencing a bunch of different videos. I have a sacred ceremony video as well. So I have 3 videos for you in the description. Check those out, that can really support you in this work, I think. So yes, I think that's it for this video. This is everything I wanted to say. I am so proud of you. If this video found you, it's probably for you, in the sense that maybe you've been curious about this. Maybe you've been called to be like, oh my gosh, I feel weighed down and I need to do something about this. Or, oh, I feel like I'm ready to let this go and I just don't know how and it's kind of overwhelming. I really hope that this video helped give you a start on what that could look like for you. So thank you so much. I am wishing you a wonderful rest of your day. If you do enjoy videos like this, please consider subscribing, because I am here every week with different goodies for y'all. So I see you. Again, I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. And I really hope that this work brings you the peace and the liberation that you deserve. So thank you. I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.